Okay, welcome to Bhakti Steps, Bhagavad Gita. They're on my screen prayers. You can chant with me. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshunanmilitam Yena Tasmai Shivaya Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shritta Padagaram Shri Gurun Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanditam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jalapate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Siti Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vansha Kalpurvesha Vipa Sindhu Mevacha Pradhana Bhavnebhyo Vaishnavyo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, we were reading from the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We completed 4 verses. Now we are in the 5th verse. So this particular chapter, Krishna is talking about the Vedas, and the Vedas are like desire fulfilling tree. Only thing is, this tree is, how is this tree? Do you know? What is the peculiarity of this tree? It is growing downwards. It is growing downwards. The branches, the leaves, everything is growing downwards. And the various branches and the leaves, they are various enjoyments in this world, which one can achieve through karma kanda, through some karma, and one can keep moving within this tree. One has to go to the root of this tree, cut this tree. Krishna says we have to cut this tree. Why? Because this is a reflection. It's a reflection. In the reflection, you won't get real happiness, and things will be temporary. Okay? So one has to cut this tree with the weapon of knowledge, weapon of detachment. Krishna used the word weapon of detachment. And then seek the permanent thing. The permanent thing. If there is if there is something, a reflection, the real thing should be there, right? If there is a reflection, the real thing should be there. So when we cut this with detachment, then search for the real thing. So here so in this case here we see that this is the reflected tree. In that all kinds of relationships are there, and sometimes they give us happiness, sometimes they give us distress, because this is duality nature. Whereas the real tree, all these relationships are there, and Krishna is the center of all relationships. So there, even sadness gives happiness. The negative emotions also give happiness only. So therefore it's called as absolute. And this is duality, dvanda. This is called as absolute. Okay. Now with little this introduction, we'll go to 5th verse. Those who are free from false prestige. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with materialist, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who are unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. Now we were talking about dualities. Duality means happiness and distress. And these are two separate experiences. So someone who has become free from it, basically these dualities don't affect him. Okay? These dualities don't affect him. He is completely unbewildered. I mean, he is not confused. And he's done with material lust. Lust means enjoying tendency. So in this material world, he is not interested only in enjoying anything of this material world. Then he is just sustaining. Just because we have to keep the body and soul together, he's just sustaining on things. But in internally, he doesn't want to take anything for him like that. Such a person surrenders to the supreme person, attains the eternal kingdom. Such a person attains eternal kingdom. Okay, so I need volunteer to read this highlighted section. uh, 1 minute. Can someone read?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Go ahead.
The surrendering process is described here very nicely. The first qualification is that one should not be deluded by pride, because the conditioned soul is puffed up, thinking himself the lord of material nature. It is very difficult for him to surrender onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should know by the cultivation of real knowledge that he is not lord of material nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Lord. When one is free from delusion caused by pride, he can begin the process of surrender. For one who is always expecting some honor in this material world, it is not possible to surrender to the Supreme Person. Pride is due to illusion. For although one comes here, stays for a brief time, and then goes away, he has the foolish notion that he is the Lord of the world. He thus makes all things complicated, and he is always in trouble. The whole world moves around this impression. People are considering the land, this earth, to belong to human society, and they have divided the land under the false impression that they are the proprietors. One has to get out of this false notion that human society is the proprietor of this world. When one is freed from such a false notion, he becomes free from all the false associations caused by familial, social, and national affections. These faulty associations bind one to this material world. After this stage, one has to develop spiritual knowledge. One has to cultivate knowledge of what is actually his own and what is actually not his own. And when one has an understanding of things as they are, he becomes free from all dual conceptions such as happiness and distress, pleasure and pain. He becomes full in knowledge. Then it is possible for him to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah. So such a nice purport Prabhupada has written here. So we are very puffed up of thinking that this is me and this is mine, right? And then we are expecting some honor. If you remember 13th chapter we read, what does humility means? Not to be anxious to be honored by others, right? So if I ask you the verse that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave, what is the verse that one needs to take here? Have you heard that verse? Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadari. Have you heard this verse? Anyone?
Kirtanya Sadahari Prabhu, we have heard.
But not the
Yes, Prabhu.
not the full verse, huh?
Prabhu, that is spoken a lot of times, so we need to remember the last ones. Yes, yes, it is in our Shikshashtakam. Yes, Trinad episode.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave Ashtakam. This Ashtakam, eight verses he spoke. And that's how this is listed. The third one is Trinadapi Sunichana Tarorapi Saishnam Amani Namanadena Kirtaniya Sadati. This is the definition of humility. With humble state of mind only, one can chant the holy name constantly. And what is the meaning of humble state? The humble state means think oneself to be lower than the straw in the street. We don't even look at the straw in the street, right? So one should not expect honor. Okay? And we discussed that. This is in terms of spiritual life. Okay? This is in terms of spiritual life, that we should not expect honor. But in terms of material life, we have to expect honor for this position that we are holding. That also we discussed. The king can order, the parents can tell the children and all that. But here the humility is for what? Its goal is to connect with the Lord. There we need to show the humility, to be lower than the straw in the seat. You got it? And then next is to be more tolerant than the tree. See, this material world has duality: happiness, distress, success, failure, hot, cold. Tam titikshva bharataha. Titikshva means tolerant, to be tolerant to such things, and not to be carried away with this happiness and distress, to be tolerating both. And devoid of sense of false prestige. This is me and mine. I am this rich. I am so educated. I look so beautiful. I have a great lineage. I come from a very big family. All this false prestige one should give up. Why? Why? Can anyone tell me what is the problem with this false prestige? If someone says, I am beautiful, I am this and that, what is the problem in that statement?
You will not be able to see a who is most beautiful in this world.
All are temporary, Prabhuji.
Yeah, exactly. Like, a company may give you a car for rent, or let's say you go to some other country, some other city, and your company provides you a rental car. And if you flash everywhere and say, this is my car, that is false prestige, because it actually belongs to the company. So one should know that such things were given to us and will be taken away from us. That is what is the meaning of temporary. So then, what is the right thing to say? What is the right thing to say? Because there are people who are beautiful, there are people who are powerful, there are people who have come from great lineage, like Arjuna, Yudhishthir, Bhishma, Prahlad, Narad Muni. Then how do they express themselves? Very simple. They will always acknowledge the Supreme Lord, and they will say, by mercy of Krishna, I have this much richness. By mercy of Krishna, I have I have so much of knowledge with me. So they will acknowledge that. That's how you should turn false prestige to true prestige. True prestige. Sorry. In such a state, one should be ready to offer all respects to other. When he offers respects to other, then all these things, then he can chant the holy name constantly. Okay. So some part of this Trinadapi Sunichena is discussed in this particular purport. It's a foolish notion to think that he's the Lord of the world. Okay. Then, we discussed all this. So one should become free. So when one gets this understanding that, me, mine, actually it is all Krishna's, I am also Krishna's. When we develop that knowledge and when we chant the holy name, then we become free from the dual conception of happiness, distress, pleasure, pain. Then it becomes easy to Sharanagati, to take Krishna's shelter, protection. Okay. Now the spiritual world is, Krishna is going to give little bit more information of the spiritual world where he lives. That supreme abode of mind is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this world. Right now is the night time, right? You all will be sitting under a bulb or tube light. Yes? So we need here electricity, we need here sun, the moon. What is this universe called in Sanskrit? Can anyone know what is this universe called in Sanskrit?
Brahmand.
Brahmanda. So there's the word called Anda. Anda means
Circular.
No, egg. Under. So inside the egg, is there any light? Is there any light inside the egg?
No, Prabhu.
So we need to put a light inside that, right? Similarly, this Brahmanda also is dark. So we need to put a sun there, a moon there, fire, electricity. But Krishna says, my spiritual world doesn't require anything of this. Everything is self-illuminated. When you book a hotel, what all things are you looking in that hotel room? Let's say even if you're going to Vrindavan or Mayapur or Dwarka or Jagannath Puri and you have to book a hotel, what are you going to ask that hotel person? What all do you ask?
First charge, Prabhuji.
First what?
Charge. What was
Okay.
the amount?
How much it charges? Yeah. Okay. How much per room charges? Next.
Cleanliness,
Cleanliness. Okay.
nearer to our destination.
Okay.
Hot facilities
Hot
available.
water. Yes. Hot water.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, facilities available. How much facilities available?
Facilities like air conditioner, lift hai kya? Right? Yes or no?
Yes, Prabhuji.
If that person says no, lift is not there, and we have our room on the third floor, will you go? Will you book? No, right? So we are looking for facilities, isn't it? Now Krishna is saying the supreme abode already has all this. It doesn't require this moonlight and fire, electricity. Everything is there. So that makes it interesting to go there, right? Isn't it? I'm not able to hear. What?
Yes, Prabhuji.
If you come to know you are going to a 5-star hotel, will you ask 5-star hotel, do you have lift? Do you have electricity? Do you have hot water? Do you have AC? Do you ask these questions?
No, Prabhu.
Why?
Because it is understood that it should have.
Yeah, we assume that it should have everything, right? So now Krishna is giving this 5-star hotel that he lives in, he's giving that example. And he's saying you are looking for sun, moon, fire, electricity. In spiritual world, everything is coming out from the effulgence of the planets. There is no need for such thing. Everything is self-illuminated. So one should be captivated by such information. Captivated means captive. What does captive means? You should be attracted by this information, right? It seems no one is attracted. No one wants to go to 5-star hotel. Isn't it? Huh? Are you captivated by such information? I'm not able to hear anybody. What?
We are trying to.
we read Bhagavad Gita very seriously, and Krishna is
We are
very
trying to captivate Prabhu, but again, we with Maya and all, we are again into that.
yeah, right. See, we are so much conditioned, right, in this material world that we really doubt everything. You know, we really doubt everything. Okay. Anyway, we will read what Krishna has to offer here. So, can anyone read this section?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. one should be captivated by his information, by this information. He should desire to transfer himself to that eternal world and extricate himself from this false reflection of reality. For one who is too much attached to this material world, it is very difficult to cut that attachment. But if he takes to Krishna consciousness, there is a chance of gradually becoming detached. One has to associate himself with devotees. Those who are in Krishna consciousness, one should search out a society dedicated to Krishna consciousness and learn how to discharge devotional service. In this way, he can cut off his attachment to the material world. One cannot become detached from the attraction of the material world simply by dressing himself in saffron cloth. He must become attached to the devotional service of the Lord. Therefore, one should take it very seriously that devotional service, as described in the 12th chapter of the, is the only way to get out of this false representation of the real tree. In chapter 14, the contamination of all kinds of processes by material nature is described. Only devotional service is described as purely transcendental. The word pa-
Paramam.
paramam
Paramam
mama,
mama.
paramam mama are very important here. Actually, every nook and corner is the property of the Supreme Lord. But the spiritual world is paramam, full of six opulences. The Katha Upanishad 2.2.15 also confirms that in the spiritual world there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, or stars. Na tatro suryo bhati na chandra tarakam. For the whole spiritual sky is illuminated by the internal potency of the Supreme Lord. That supreme abode can be achieved only by surrender and by no other means.
Okay. Okay. So let's say you go to this five-star hotel. You're paying like 10,000 per night, and there are some five-star hotel who are 1 lakh per night. And Mhm. Suppose you go to this five-star hotel, any five-star hotel you go, what is one thing that they will offer free over there? Any did anyone go to hotel where they offer certain things free?
Prabhuji, soap, shampoo,
That's fine. Inside
water,
the room.
water,
What about the food?
all are chargeable, Prabhuji. Only the complimentary, something is complimentary or
Yes,
in breakfast
yes,
time.
no, in such places, sometimes the breakfast is free.
Yeah.
Sometimes the breakfast is free. In certain time, if you go to this restaurant which is inside that five-star hotel, then breakfast will be free. Okay. Now we are very captivated, right? Breakfast to free mil raha hai, right? I'm staying in five-star hotel, breakfast is free, isn't it? Such captivation is there, right? Such attraction is there to such places, right? You call up and you say, I am where? Taj. I'm in Hotel Taj, five-star Hotel Taj, isn't it? Now you have to get captivated to the spiritual world. Now, spiritual world is much more than five-star hotel. Now, what about food? In the spiritual world, how the food is served? Do you know? Do you know anything about how the food is served in the spiritual world?
Sattvic food, Prabhuji.
No, 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 no. How?
Prasad Prabhuji,
So there are kalpa
Krishna.
vikshas over there.
Exactly.
Kalpa vikshas means desire fulfilling trees. Now these desire fulfilling trees are such trees that if you sit underneath and you say, I want upma, then immediately upma will come in your hand. I want halwa, halwa will come into your hand. This is the meaning of desire fulfilling trees. And spiritual world is full of desire fulfilling trees. So you have free breakfast, free lunch, free snack, free dinner, right? and the place is illuminated. You don't need anything, no power, nothing. Water will be continuously, light will be there. Now, such places you would like to go or not? Yes or no? Still not
Yes,
convinced.
Prabhu.
Right? You don't have to pay anything, no charges. If you want to eat, just sit underneath a tree and say whatever you want. Whichever season is going on, whichever fruit you want, it will come. If it is cold there, you will say, I want mangoes. Then mangoes will come. Right? Anything can come. Because there are like this. And um, the land of spiritual world is full of gems. Very, very costly gems. And they're shining. Sometimes you go to these very, very rich people and they have one chandelier which is shining. Right? One chandelier in the middle of the room. Big room. And we get attracted to it and say, wow, you must be rich, This chandelier maybe, hundreds of lakhs of rupees here. And in the spiritual world, it is just lying on the road. It is just lying on the road. So once what happened is, one king wanted to serve Sanatan Goswami in Vrindavan. And he told him, how can I serve? How can I serve? So then Sanatan Goswami gave him the vision of the spiritual world. And in that he showed there is this crack in the wall. One jewel needs to be fit in it. Can you provide that? And the king, he had the vision of the spiritual world, and then he had idea of what kind of jewel will fit there. But his all calculation of which kind of jewel started failing. He said it is impossible to get a jewel that will fit in it. This world is so great. Even I don't have the jewel that will fit in this crack. So can you imagine the opulence of the spiritual world? The cows over there are Surbhi cows. Surbhi cows means they will give unlimited supply of milk. Not just milk, all kinds of food items. It will just come out from the body. And everything they will give. If you want furniture also, that will also come from their body. If you want army, that will also come. So like this, everywhere there is thousands and thousands and thousands of spirit Surbhi cows. Then there are hundreds and thousands of Lakshmis there. One Lakshmi, and we do one Lakshmi Puja in Diwali, right? So many people after Lakshmi Puja. Dhanam Dehi, Putram Dehi, this Dehi, that Dehi. And there, it is not just one Lakshmi. There is thousands of Lakshmis. So we can say, lottery lag gaya. Isn't it? So that is how the spiritual world is. Now, does that attract you? Let me ask you this. Does that attract you? Yes or no?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Actually, I got one answer. So when we live with devotees will give this kind of information. And when we do devotional service, we'll be able to realize this information. Okay? And then we can easily cut attachment to this material world. And we'll be attached to the spiritual world. Getting? Okay. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. This is a very amazing verse. Mamai vansho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha manashasthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. Mama eva amsha. Amsha means part. Mama means mine. My eternal parts. So we all are Krishna's eternal parts. Here, whose eternal parts? Krishna's eternal parts. Now, where is the proof? Here is the proof. 15.17. Mama eva vansho. And we are struggling here with what? External six senses, which include the mind. Isn't it? Are we struggling in this world? Are we struggling in this world?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Because we all have this, six senses and everything is around us. We are having difficulty to use it. And this body only gives us some pleasure, and most of the time it is the pain. Okay. Someone read this section, highlighted one, in this verse.
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead.
In this verse, the identity of a living being is clearly given. The living entity is the forgotten part and parcel of Supreme Lord, and internally it is not that he assumed individually in his conditional life and his liberated state becomes one with Supreme Lord. He is internally fragmented. It is clearly said Sanatah. According to the Vedic version, the Supreme Lord manifests and expands himself in innumerable expansion, of which the primary expansions are called Vishnu Tattva and the secondary expansions are called living entities.
Or
In the other
Jiva
word,
Tattva. Jiva Tattva. So we are Jiva Tattva, and Vishnu Tattvas are Vishnu, Narayan, Rama, Narsimha, Vishnu Murtis. Every one of them are in the Vaikuntha planets. Read this
as fundamental part and parcel of Supreme Lord, the living entities also have fundamental portion of his quality, of which independence is one. Every living entity as an individual soul has his personal individuality and a minute form of independence. By misuse of that independence, one becomes a conditional soul, and by proper use of independence, he is always liberated. In either case, he is qualitatively internal as the Supreme Lord is. In his liberated state, he is freed from his base material condition and he is under the engagement of transcendental service unto the Lord. In his conditional life, he is dominated by the material modes of nature and he forgets the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As a result, he has to struggle very hard to maintain his existence in the material world.
Okay, in the
The
material
living
world,
entity.
we have to work very hard, right? It is not easy. It's not like we go under the tree and we say, I want 10,000 rupees, and suddenly 10,000 rupees appear. No, right? We have to work hard to get it. We have to work hard to get food at the table, right? So that's the word used is karashati, struggling. Read from here.
The word krasti, struggling, or grappling hard is very significant. The conditional soul is bound up and as thou shackled by the iron chain. He is bound by the false ego and the mind is chief agent which is driving him in this material existence. When the mind is in the mode of goodness, his activities are good. When the mind is in the mode of passion, his activities are troublesome. And when the mind is in the mode of ignorance, he travels in the lower species of life.
Yeah. So
It
you
is
see, you
clear.
see this body that we have is made of three modes. Last few sessions we discussed on the three modes of material nature, right? So mode of goodness, activities are good. In mode of passion, it is troublesome. It is misery. And in mode of ignorance, it is madness. Okay, read this section. It is stated.
It is stated here that when a living entity gives up this material embodiment and enters into the spiritual world, he revives his spiritual body. And his spiritual body, he can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. He can hear and speak to him face to face, and he can understand the Supreme Personality as he is from Smriti also. It is understood Vasanti Yatra, Purusha Sarve, Vaikuntha
Murtayaha.
Mrityu Jaya.
No, Murtayaha.
Murtayaha. In the spiritual planet, everyone lives in the bodies featured like the Supreme Personality of Godheads. As far as body constructed is concerned, there is no difference between between the part and the parcel life entities and the expansion of Vishnu Murti. In other words, at liberation of the living entity gets a spiritual body by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word
Mamayavanshah.
Mamayavancha, fundamental parts and the part of the Supreme Lord are also very significant. The fundamental portion of the Supreme Lord is not like some material broken part. We have we have all we have already understood in the second chapter that the spirit cannot be cut into pieces. Thus, this fundamental is not materially conceived. It is only like matter which can be cut into pieces and joined together again. That conception is not applicable here because the Sanskrit word sanatana, eternal, is used. The fundamental portion is eternal.
Fragmental portion is eternal. Yeah.
Fragmental portion is.
So um, in the temple, how many deities are there of Krishna? Tell me.
Krishna deity only one.
Only one, right?
Others are
Yeah.
other are
No, it is only one
present.
deity in the temple,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Now, if
yeah.
you want to be with the deity, is it possible, like, thousands of people come? Like in Ayodhya, in a day, 10 lakh people came. Or in Jagannath Puri, 10 lakh people came. There's one deity of Jagannath. There's one deity of Ram Lala. And everyone wants to associate. Is it possible?
No, Prabhuji.
Yeah, in this material world, it is not possible. Physically, it is not possible. Mentally, it is possible. Okay? Emotionally, it is possible. Spiritually, it is possible. But in the spiritual world, this problem is not there. In the spiritual world, what problem is not there? This problem is not there. That there's only one Krishna. So, what I'm trying to say, are there one Krishna or are there many Krishna there?
Actually, Prabhuji, in each and everyone, there is one Krishna.
Actually, in the spiritual world, there are many, many Krishnas. The same Krishna becomes many. Okay? And he doesn't leave anybody. He gives association to everybody. How is that possible? Is that possible or not possible? Let's talk about it.
It was
Yes,
possible
one more.
on part of Krishna.
It is not one part of Krishna. The same Krishna is spread everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay? So he's playing with the gopas. At the same time, he's playing with the gopis. At the same time, he's in the forest with his cows, with the monkeys, with the trees. At the same time, he's with Nanda Maharaj, and at the same time, he's with Yashoda. So therefore, this problem is not there. Krishna can expand how many? What number does he expand to? 5, 6, 8? What number can he expand to?
Any number he wants.
Any number he wants. How many living entities are there? That is also any number it is, like infinite, right? Isn't it? So Krishna also can expand infinite, and living entities also infinite. Krishna makes sure that he is with every living entity. That is the spiritual world. It is not like अरे मैं लाइन में खड़ी हूं, 1 घंटा हो गया, 2 घंटा हो गया, कब मुझे दर्शन मिलेगा? That problem is not there in spiritual world. There is no Tirupati line problem there. And how many of you went to Tirupati? Did anyone go to Tirupati?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
How much time it took to take darshan?
8-9 hours.
And darshan
Minimum.
was how much?
Right.
Darshan was for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yes.
How much it was?
Only
2
2
minutes.
or 5 minutes. 2 minutes.
It was in seconds. Right?
Not minutes. Prabhuji, anytime they drove away.
Okay.
Drove us.
This is the problem here. In spiritual world, there is no problem. You will be always face to face with Krishna. You can hear Krishna, you can speak Krishna, you can speak to him, you can dance with him, you can feed him. Okay? And he will not go away also. मेरा time हो गया मेरे को. No, he won't go only. So this is the greatness of spiritual world. You get Krishna 100% of your time. And not about just you. Everyone. How many they may be. There is nothing that can stop Krishna there. Nothing that can limit Krishna there. Now do you want to go to spiritual world? Now are you captivated by this information?
Yes,
Then I
Prabhuji.
don't have to face Tirupati line in Vaikunta. Are you captivated by that?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prasad to udhar hi milega. Direct Krishna is there with you, you are there with Krishna. Anytime you want prasad, he will give you. Getting? Now does this idea of going back home, back to Godhead attracts you? Yes or no?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Okay. We read this. It is, however, understood that the spiritual living entity, being fragmented part and parcel of Krishna, is qualitatively one with the Lord, just as part and parcels of gold are also gold. Okay, we are qualitatively one with the Lord, not quantitatively. Okay. Now, the living entity in the material world carries different conception of life from one body to another, as air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. Now, if we walk near a garden of roses and the wind is flowing, will you be able to smell the fragrance of those roses?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Now you are walking further and there happens to be a garbage and the wind is still flowing. Now what will you smell?
Bad smell.
Dirty smell, right? So the living entity is like, the air which carries aromas. Which body he gets, he gives that kind of aroma. And then again he changes to another aroma. Just like the wind is same, wind is same. The wind is not different. But from what it is flowing, it gives that kind of conception. Arey, here there is too dirty. Arey, here there is nice fragrance. Maybe mogra, maybe rose. Right? The wind has nothing to do with these aromas. Does it have to do with the aromas? No, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Similarly, the living has nothing to do with these conceptions of life and all, but he takes it and then he gives that kind of aroma out from his existence. And then he keeps changing one body to another, different aromas. Sometimes he gives fragrance of rose, sometimes he gives fragrance of garbage. Right? Okay. Okay. Can someone read this?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here, the living entity is described as Ishvara, the controller of his own body. If he likes, he can change his body to a higher grade
and if he likes, he can move to a lower class. Minute independence is there. The change his body undergoes depends upon him. At the time of death, the consciousness he has created will carry him on to the next type of body. If he has made his consciousness like that of a cat or dog, he is sure to change to a cat or dog's body. And if he has fixed his consciousness on godly qualities, he will change into the form of a demigod. And if he is in Krishna consciousness, he will be transferred to Krishna Loka. In the spiritual world, the end will associate with Krishna. It is false claim that after the annihilation of this body, everything is finished.
Yeah, go ahead.
One gets a different body according to karma, and he has to quit this body in due course. It is stated here that the subtle body, which carries the conception of the next body, develops another body in the next life. This process of transmigrating from one body to another and struggling while in the body is called karshati, or struggle for existence.
Yeah. So, we, depending on our karma, our desires, we keep getting new bodies like cat body, dog body, animal body, this body, that body, right? All kinds of human body, demigod body. That is demigod here in Devata body. And then we give that kind of aroma, emit from our body and our consciousness. And when we go to Krishna Loka, we get spiritual world. We get Krishna, we get body, spiritual body over there. Okay. Yeah. Let's check. How many Krishna are here? Is there one Krishna or many Krishna? How many Krishna are there?
Many Krishna.
So here only few gopis are shown, but actually there are millions and millions of gopis. And Krishna expands into all the gopis to be with them. He's there with Radharani, and he's there again there with Lalita also, he's there with Vishaka also, and he's there with other gopis also. And all gopis think Krishna is with me only. Right? All gopis, they think Krishna is with me only. So this is the spiritual world. One will be never bereft of association of Krishna. Now, does this information captivates your heart that you need to go back to Godhead? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah. I gave you pictorial proof now. Okay. So instead of Karashati, we will go to Krishna Loka. And there won't be any Karashati. What will be there? There won't be any struggle only. If you want food, then what we'll do? What we'll do if you want food there?
That some vriksha is there, no, Guruji?
Kalpa Vrikshas.
Kalpa vriksha, right?
Just sit under it and tell whatever you want. Or the Surbi cow is there. You tell her anything and everything will come out. Right? You sow in the land of Vrindavan, the spiritual world, and you can get fruits, trees, grains, and you can get gems also out of it. So once what happened is, Krishna took some of the gems from his father, some very shining gems, and he went and he put it in the ground. He put it in the ground. Next day a tree came and it had a lot of gems on it. And he said, see, I am the richest person. I get gems. And then Radharani and all the gopis thought, yeah, we can also do that. And they also tried, in their place to put gems. Can you tell me what happened?
It will not grow, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Only Kanta
Nothing
Aya.
came out. Nothing came out. And Krishna won. Okay. So that was one story. Here we sometimes say, na, if you cannot sow diamonds in the ground, like you won't get a tree of money. But all this is failed in spiritual world. In spiritual world, anything can happen. But all that happens for pleasure of Krishna. If Radharani lost there, if Radharani failed over there, that was for the pleasure of Krishna. It was not for her own enjoyment. Like that. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, nose, tongue, sense of touch, which are grouped around the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. So this is our great picture that I always show you. This one. The living entity is grouped around what? Various kinds of senses, body, right? Isn't it? That's what we are reading, right? Nose, eyes, ears, touch. Isn't it? It's grouped all by this jiva. It is grouped around it. It's like various layers of clothes around us. Isn't it? Our bodies, various layers of clothes around us. So then we can enjoy a particular set of sense objects. You see this? How many coverings are required in the coldest place? So many coverings are required because it's so cold there. What is his level of enjoyment in such a place? What is his level of enjoyment? Can you tell me? Can you tell me? Would you like to go to
Nothing,
this place?
Prabhuji. Nothing, Prabhuji. Only struggle is there.
Yeah, only then what is the word that Krishna uses? Karashati, struggling. What is he using? The word struggling. So where we take birth, what we do, we are all struggling in this world. Okay, someone read this section. Can someone read?
Okay, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. In other words, if the living entity adulterates his consciousness with the quality and enjoys. Consciousness is originally pure like water, but if we mix water with a certain color, it changes similarly. But if we mix water with a certain color, it changes similarly. Consciousness is pure, for the spirit soul is pure, but consciousness is changed according to the association of the material qualities. Real consciousness is Krishna consciousness. When therefore one is situated in Krishna consciousness, he is in his pure life. But if his consciousness is adulterated by some type of material mentality, in the next life they get a
Corresponding
corresponding
body.
body.
That
He
is
does not necessarily
8.4 million species. Any kind of body one may get. If he takes birth in this scenario, you can imagine how much happy or distressed he will be. Okay? Okay. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can he understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of material nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. How many of you visit malls? Did you ever go to any mall? DMart or...
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
There are these automatic doors there, right? All the malls today have automatic doors, isn't it? In your company, if you go, there
Yes,
also there is automatic door. Now, when this automatic door is seen by children, what did they do?
they are playing Prabhuji.
They're playing with it, right? For them, it is like a plaything. For them, they see that nobody is controlling it. They don't see any person there. And the door opens, close. So they are playing over there. But then, those who are done electronics engineering, how do they see this automatic door? How do they see? Any electronic engineer here?
Machine Prabhuji. This is the automatic.
It's technical.
Yeah, they see this is called automatic, but actually it is working because there is a motion sensor, there are motors behind it, there is an embedded controller which is controlling it, and it is connected over Ethernet, LAN or internet, and somewhere there is a person controlling it. Does the automatic door open at 2 o'clock in the morning? Huh? Does it open at 2 o'clock in the morning? You go to that mall and then suddenly the door opens. Does it happen like that?
No, Prabhuji.
So it has
So,
some time.
yeah, so somebody is controlling it, right? Somebody shut it off down. Shut it off, right? So, somebody is remotely controlling it. You use remote. Where do you use remote control? For television, right? See, for a person to understand what is the connection, he will have to see the wire. But in remote control, where is the wire? There is no wire connecting back to the TV. But you sit like 10-15 feet away and then just click on a button, you will change the channels. How is that happening? How is that happening?
The technology.
Yeah, there is an infrared LED in front of it that emits a light, and in that light, on of the light, that light is turning on and off. In that on and off, it is sending instructions: on, off, channel 30, channel 40, increase volume, decrease volume. So only a knowledgeable person can understand this, and a person who is not knowledgeable will think it is magic or miracle or it's a plaything, right? So Krishna is saying that how come the soul is taking new bodies? Only a person trained in knowledge can see this. So a soul, the concept of soul, only one can understand if he is trained in that knowledge. Otherwise, he cannot understand. Okay. Can someone read the word Jnana Chakshuha?
The word, sorry, Mataji. The word jnana
Chakshuha.
Chakshusa is
Chakshusha.
very significant. Without knowledge, one cannot understand how a living entity leaves his present body, nor what form of body he is going to take in the next life, nor even why he is living in a particular type of body. This requires a great
Amount of knowledge
amount of knowledge understood
understood
from
from...
Bhagavad Gita and similar literature. Here, from a bona fide spiritual master, one who is trained to
Wait.
uh,
So this whole electronic thing we can understand by going to a electronic engineering college and learn it from a teacher who is expert in electronics, right? Isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Similarly, a spiritual master will talk about how the spirit, the soul, is changing bodies. And he will use it from the literature of Bhagavad Gita and others like Srimad Bhagavatam and Upanishads. Simple, right? Okay. One who's trained. Go ahead. Go ahead. One who's trained.
One who is trained to perceive all these things is fortune.
Fortunate.
Every living entity is creating his body under certain circumstances. He is living under certain circumstances, and he is enjoying under certain circumstances, and he is enjoying under certain.
Circumstances under the spell of material nature.
Sorry, Prabhuji, it's
Yeah, it's
in
yeah. Okay, go ahead. As a result,
as a result, he is sorry,
suffering.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Not able to see?
No, Prabhuji, my screen is gone.
Oh, okay. Can others see? Can others
Hare
see?
Krishna.
Can others see?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Go ahead then. You read. As a result.
As a result, he is suffering different kind of happiness and distress under the illusion of sense enjoyment. Person who are everlasting fooled by lust and desire lose all the power to understand their change of body, and they stay and they are stay in a particular body. They cannot comprehend it. Those who have developed spiritual knowledge, however, can see that the spirit is different from the body and is changing its body and enjoying in different way. A person in such knowledge can understand how the conditional living entity is suffering in the material existence. Therefore, those who are highly developed in Krishna consciousness try their best to give this knowledge to the people in general, for their conditional life in is very much troublesome. They should come out of it and be Krishna conscious and liberate themselves to transfer to the spiritual world.
Yeah. See, those who are trained in this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and about the spirit should give it to others. Why? Because then they won't remain foolish. They won't remain ignorant about the reality of life. You can teach your child how this door opens and closes, how the remote control works, isn't it? Once they know, then they will know how to use it properly. Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Yeah. Similarly, this knowledge of spirit and spiritual world and Krishna, all this knowledge is meant for all living entities. And we should distribute this knowledge. Let's say if we don't distribute, then what are we doing? What is the word Krishna uses if you don't distribute this knowledge? We discussed this in 13th chapter. It is violence. It is violence not to distribute. Right? Ahimsa means to distribute, and violence means not to distribute this knowledge. Why? What is the violence over there? The violence is that we are allowing the suffering of the other living entities, right? We are allowing it. If some accident happens and if you don't help the victim, then what will happen? The victim will die, right? We see today when accident happens, people remove their, what they do, instead of helping, they remove they take out their mobile and they are doing live streaming,
Me too.
right?
Yes.
So who is doing more violence there? One who committed the accident, and second is one who is doing this thing without helping. Getting? So that is a violent act. So ahimsa means to distribute, and himsa means not to distribute this knowledge. Do you remember we discussed this in 13th chapter? Himsa, ahimsa concept. Okay, so we are out of time. We'll do tomorrow from text number 11. Let's open up for some 1 or 2 questions. Anyone has any question or comment? Any question or comment?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी, जैसे कि आपने कहा कि सम एट्रैक्शन है, मतलब गोलक वृंद, हाँ,
आध्यात्मिक जगत के प्रति आकर्षण,
हाँ, तो
आकर्षित होना।
मतलब क्या कि हम वहाँ पे जो चाहे वो खा सकते हैं ऐसा, मतलब क्या वहाँ तो जाने के बाद हमारे मतलब इतना हमारे जो जर्नी है वो इतना डेवलप होने के बाद ये सब डिजायर रहेगी वहाँ पे, जो हमको ये सब चाह होगी।
Okay, good. So you see, the what I tell is, see who can go to the spiritual world. We read it, ना? आध्यात्मिक अगर कौन जा सकता है?
जिसका मतलब बहुत हाई लेवल में है जो, वही वहाँ पे जा सकते हैं। तो उस लेवल पे जाने के बाद ये सब तो डिजायर नहीं होगी ना।
हाँ, so ये सब डिजायर तो है ही नहीं, इसलिए तो जा रहे हैं। We are free from false vestige, illusion, false association, understanding the eternal, done with material rest, freed from duality, distress, unbewildered, and know how to surrender onto the supreme. ये जो शरणागति है भगवान के प्रति, इसको भी, इसे भी भक्ति बोलते हैं। So when we go there, वहां जाने के बाद we are not looking for our own gratification. We are there only for Krishna's gratification. कृष्णा के लिए हम जा रहे हैं वहां पे, ठीक है? जैसे कि ये गोपीज है, young girls, and they want to dance, but they won't dance without Krishna. They will only dance with Krishna, and the whole dancing, everything is meant for Krishna's pleasure. Getting? If a wife beautifully dresses herself, what does she says to her husband? You know how I am looking, मैं कैसी दिख रही हूँ?
हाँ,
Why?
क्योंकि वो जो
Because
पहनना
it is
है
done for
वो
the
हस्बैंड
husband
के लिए,
only.
हस्बैंड के लिए।
Because it is done for the husband only. कोई बाहर का आदमी बोल रहा है और बोला आप बहुत अच्छी लग रही हो, we won't like it.
Yes.
But if the husband tells तुम बहुत सुंदर लग रही हो, then that will make the wife very happy, right?
Yes, sir.
And she will say, and she will think कि, you know, I'm successful in dressing beautifully. Getting? So all this beautiful dressing and all that is done to give pleasure to Krishna. All this dancing, singing, everything is done to do pleasure to Krishna. That's the meaning of it. So the thing is, your question was, will we have those desires? No. Then what kind of desires will we have? We will have all desires to fulfill Krishna's, to serve Krishna with love. Aisa. Getting?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Any other question or comment? Okay. So no questions, then we'll